Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to make the crochet mesh sweater. To start, we're going to be using these two balls of Yeye yarns together, and we're going to be needing a 4.0 millimeter hook, and we're going to be using some stitch markers, measuring tape, yarn needle, scissors for this project. And another substitute for Yeye yarn is to use a 4-ply milk cotton yarn or any yarn of your choice. But this is what I always like to use for sweaters because this is an acrylic yarn and it's really warm and very durable. So we're going to start by tying a knot and chaining the tin. So I'm going to be counting on screen till I have 13 chains. So I'm going to make my first chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I like to work my single crochets into the back of the chain. I'm going to be using single crochet for the ribbon of the band of the sweater to give it a stretchy, textured feel. So I'm going to work single crochets all the way till we get to the end of our first row for the band. I like to make mine like this so it's easier to join once our ribbon is done. I'll show you how to do that at the end. So now I have my first row completed, and for row 2 we're going to be working our single crochet into the back loop of our first single crochet row. So to start, we're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you make the very first single crochet in the very first stitch like I'm pointing out in the video. So you make your single crochet in the back loop only. From row 2 to as we build up, you keep making your single crochet into the back loop only. So once we're done with our rows of single crochet ribbon, I'm going to show you how to continue our project. For now, just keep working your single crochet into the back loop until you get to the very end. We're going to be making 40 inches long. I mean, our ribbon is going to be 40 inches long. So when I'm done, I'm going to show you how to continue. I'm going to work the rest off screen now. I'll meet you back once I'm done. I now have my 40 inches completed. This means you have 20 inches on both sides when you fold the band. On screen you can see that mine is 20 inches, meaning the circumference of the band is 40 inches. I want my sweater to have a big fit on me. That is why I made 40 inches. And this can also fit a male that wears a large size. If you want a smaller, you can just use your waist measurements. I mean, just measure your waist and use that. So now we're going to be joining our band together. Make sure both sides are equal, just the way I am arranging mine on screen. I'm going to be using my hook to join both sides. First, you're going to pull your loop into the other side of your band to join, just like I'm doing. And we're going to be working into the back and the front loop only. So just follow exactly the way I'm working mine to get yours together. If you have another way you know how to join your band or join your project, you can just do that. But this is how I always join mine. So like I said, we're going to put our hook into the back loop and the front loop of the other side. So put your hook into the back loop and the front loop of the other side, and you make a slip stitch At the end, you're going to see why I join mine like this. It's just to give the ribbon a neat finish at the end of the work. So just continue slip stitching and joining your band, and I'm going to meet you back once I'm done with mine. I have not finished mine. I'm just going to go ahead and chain one. Then you turn your work inside out. So this is why I join mine the way I do. Look at how neat, and you can't even know where the journey started or ended from. So now we're going to go into the very first space like so and make two single crochet in the same space. So for this first row of our sweater, we're going to be making two single crochet in one space and make one single crochet in the next one, then two single crochet in the next space and one single crochet in the next one. So we're just going to be interchanging between two single crochets in the same space and one single crochet. So this is what we're going to be doing till the end of our first row until we get to the end. Now I'm at the end of my row one, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish off with my one single crochet that's left for the row. Um, Once you're done with your first row, we're just going to go ahead and slip stitch in our very first single crochet that we made. Once you have your slip stitch, we're going to chain four. Chain four, um, skip the next stitch, go into the next one after that and make one double crochet into that stitch. Chain one, skip the next stitch and make a double crochet in the one after that. So for this row, we're going to be making double crochet, chain one, skip a stitch and double crochet into the next one. So this is going to be our row two, and we keep doing this until we get to the end of row two. I'll meet you back once I have mine finished. Now I have my second row done. I'm going to go ahead and chain one. For this part, you're going to count three chains from your first chain four and slip stitch into the third chain. Now our third row is going to be an increase row. This is where we're going to need in our stitch markers to mark where we're going to be having our increase. So as you can see, I have my beginning part on the side, and I'm just going to just attach my stitch marker to the middle of our work. Find the middle point and just put your stitch marker. You can also count your work to know, but I'm just going to do it like this because it really doesn't affect your work. So I'm going to be putting my stitch marker in the middle, the front and the back, and also put stitch marker at the side. Just just follow the way I am doing mine in the video. Yeah. So once you have your stitch markers and those points, we're just going to start by chaining four. Always chain four to start every row of a double crochet mesh stitch. So I'm just trying to adjust my camera so you guys can see what I'm doing clearly. So once I have my four chains, turn your work. For this part, once you start a row, you always have to turn your work just to keep it in its finish. So we're going to make double crochet into the very first stitch. This is going to be our first increase for this row, and we're going to chain one. We chain one and work a double crochet into the next double crochet stitch. Chain one. So this is going to be the pattern for this increase row. I'm going to continue working my double crochet chain one until I get to the next stitch marker before I increase. Now I'm at the stitch marker and I'm just going to go ahead and remove it from the stitch. Then I'm going to make one double crochet into the space, chain one, and make another double crochet into the same space. This is going to be our second increase. So we're going to keep making an increase every time we get to a stitch marker, and we're going to continue our work until we get to the end of the row. So whenever you get to a stitch marker, you're going to make an increase. Now I'm done with my row 3, and I'm just going to count 3 chains and slip stitch into the third chain. So for this next row, we're going to chain 4 as usual, and we're going to turn our work. This row is going to be a non-increase row, so we're going to be working double crochets, no increase for this row. So as we did earlier, we're going to just go into the next stitch and make a double crochet. Continue this pattern until we get to the end of this row 4, and I'm going to show you how to make our next increase. I am now at the end of my fourth row, and I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch like I explained earlier. So for this row, we're going to be doing an increase, and I went ahead to put stitch markers on the point where I want to make an increase. So this is what your work should be looking like so far. This is what you should have, and I made my increase. I marked the point where I'm going to put the increase, the stitch marker already. I'm just going to show you where to put it. So you're going to put the stitch marker right above your last increase, like this. So that is how you mark the point where you're going to make your next increase. So like we did for our previous increase row, we're going to um, make our very first increase in the first stitch where we have our chain 4. So I'm going to start my row 5 by making a double crochet into the very first stitch. So once you have the double crochet in the very first stitch, you chain 1 and you continue working double crochet until you get to your first stitch marker. So I am now at the point where I have my first stitch marker. I'm going to remove my stitch marker and make my second increase, which is double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet in the same space. So this is what we're going to be doing for this row until we get to the end. Once we're at the end of the row, I'm going to show you what to do next. Now I am done with my row 5. I'm going to chain 4, turn my work. Always remember to turn your work. It's very important. So once I turn my work, I'm just going to continue double crocheting. This is going to be a no increase row. So for now, we're going to be interchanging between row 5 and row 6. That's one increase row and one no increase row. So I'm not going to continue off screen, and then I'll show you how many increase row I made. Yeah, so I'll meet you once I'm done with my increases. This is what my work looks like now. I made 4 increase row. I'm currently on my 10th row. So I made 4 increase rows. So yeah, so you need to do 4 increases if you're following my exact size. But if you want your own more smaller, you don't have to do as much increase. And if you want it bigger, you can make more increases. But this is where I'm going to stop from my increase, and I'm just going to continue. Now I'm working on my 11th row. So from row 11 to row 34, this is including the single crochet row we did at the beginning. Just going to keep working double crochet until we have 34 rows, and I'll meet you back when I'm changing colors. Now I just quickly want to show you guys how I change colors, because I'll be using 2 colors for this project. So I'm just going to attach my other color to the project, and yeah, this is how I attach my yarn. So just quickly wanted to show you guys how I change colors for this project. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish my 34 rows, and I'll meet you guys back once I have my 34 rows finished. Okay. I have finished my 34 rows, and now the total length I have now is 19. So you need to measure your work and have 19 rows. If you don't have 19 rows, you can just make more until you have your 19 rows. So now we're going to start working on our armhole, and I have gone ahead to divide my work into 2, as you can see. So just count the number of rows you have, of stitches you have, and put a stitch marker at the sides to divide it. So we're going to start working the back and front of our project separately to fit in the sleeves. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'll show you guys how to start. Now we're going to start our row 1 for the sleeves portion. As usual, we're going to chain 4 and work a double crochet into the next stitch like we've been doing. So we're going to work double crochet until we get to the next point where we have our stitch marker on the side. So just keep doing this until you get to the end of the other stitch marker. Now I'm at the other end where I have my second stitch marker that is dividing the sleeves part. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up with my double crochet and chain 4 as usual. Turn your work. So this sleeves part is just going to be plain straight double crochet. We're going to keep doing this double crochet until we have 7 rows. Once we have 7 rows, I'm going to show you how to continue our project. Now I have my 7 rows complete, and this is what your work should look like. I'm just going to switch back to the color I was using before at the beginning, and then we can start working on the neck portion of our sweater. We're going to start the neck by counting our total stitches and dividing it by 2. Also note that I have done 7 rows at the front and 7 rows at the back, but I worked both sides separately like I said earlier. For the neck, we're going to need a couple of stitch markers to start. So I have counted my stitches, and I'm going to put my stitch marker in the middle point. And once you attach your stitch marker, you're going to count 3 stitches to both sides. So 3 stitches to the left and 3 stitches to the right. So once you count 3 stitches, you put your stitch marker in the 4th stitch like this, and you count 3 stitches on the other side and put your stitch marker on the 4th stitch. So this is going to be the space for the neck, and I'm going to start working double crochet towards the first stitch marker to the right. I'm just going to show you how to start. We're going to chain 4 to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to continue working double crochets until we have 3 stitches left, including the point where we attached our stitch marker. So keep working double crochet until you have just 3 stitches left. Now I have my 3 stitches left, and we're going to make a decrease. To start a decrease, you're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over again, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then pull through all the final 3 loops. That's our first decrease. Chain 1, then make 1 double crochet into the point where we have our stitch marker. Now we have our row 1 finished. So for row 2, we're going to chain 2, turn our work. Once you turn your work, you're just going to work a double crochet into the next stitch. That's the top of the decrease from the previous row. So make 1 double crochet, and that's going to be our first decrease for row 2. We're going to continue working double crochet until we get to the end of row 2. So for this portion, we're just going to be decreasing on one side of the neck. We're not decreasing at the other end. So our decrease is just going to be on one side. I'm now at the end of my second row. I just want to show you how to finish the second row where we have to put a double crochet into the chain 4 we did at the beginning. So as usual, we're going to count 3 chains and put a double crochet in the third chain, just like I just did in the video. So you chain 4 again, turn your work, and we're going to keep working double crochet until we have only 3 stitches left, and we're going to do our decrease once we have that. So keep working until you have just 3 stitches left, and I'll meet you back once I'm done. Now I have just 3 stitches left on row 3. Now we're going to make a decrease. So we're going to yarn over and put a double crochet the same way we did in row 2. Yarn over, put through 2, yarn over again to the next stitch, put through 2, yarn over, then pull through all 3 stitches. We're going to chain 1 and go into the next stitch. The chain 2 we did previously doesn't count as a stitch, so we just ignore that and work a double crochet into the double crochet that we made in the previous row. So chain 1 and repeat row 2. I want to keep repeating this until we have 7 rows of this decrease on one side of our sweater. So once we have 7 rows, I'm going to meet you back and show you how we're going to continue. So this is what my work looks like now. I've done my 7 rows, and this is what you should have. Once you're done with your 7 rows, just cut off the yarn and pull your work tight. So we're going to repeat what we did on this side to the other side of our neck, because remember we marked 2 sides of the stitch marker in the middle. I don't want to confuse you guys, so just continue watching the video and follow all the steps that I'm showing you in the video. So now we're going to just attach our yarn to the third chain of our previous row, as you can see. So just attach your hand there, and we're going to work a double crochet just like we did before. Do exactly the same thing like we did in the previous one. So we're just going to do that, repeat what I showed you earlier on how to make the decreases for the neck, and I'm going to come back and show you how my work looks. So I'm just going to show you how to make the decrease one more time before I continue my work off screen. So like I explained before, you're going to make your decrease at only one side of the neck, just like I'm showing in the video. So just follow each step accordingly, and I'm sure you would be on the right track with me. So I'm going to do the rest of screen now, and I'm going to come back to show you my finished work. Now I am done with the first part of the neck, and this is what you should have now. So like I said earlier, I only decrease on one side and the other side is going to be straight. So this is the full length of our armhole. So when you measure it, you're going to have 8 inches. And in total, we did 14 rows. So I'm going to jump into the second part now. So for the second part, I have an even number on this side. So I did it like that just to show you guys how to mark the neck if you have an even number or if you have an odd number of stitches. So on this side I have an even number, so I've already counted my stitch and I'm going to divide it into two. I have 64 stitches in total, and divided by 2 I have 32 stitches on both sides. When I say both sides, I mean counting from the end to the middle on both sides is 32 and 32. So I'm going to attach my stitch marker to one part of 32 stitches and the other stitch marker to the second side of 32 inches. So I'm having two stitch markers in the middle. For the first one, I had just one stitch marker because I have an odd number. So I had one stitch left in the middle. So at the back, we're going to count 3 stitches from our stitch marker to the left, 3 stitches, and in the third stitch, we're going to be putting our stitch marker to mark the point where we're going to stop our stitch when we start the neck. So just attach your stitch markers, 3 stitches to the left and 3 stitches to the right, which I'm going to do now on screen. So once you're done attaching your stitch marker, you can decide to mark more on both sides depending on how wide you want your neck to be. But for an adult neck, this should be fine. So we're just going to repeat the same pattern we did at the front to this particular side. So just work your double crochet until you get the stitch marker. But I'm just quickly going to show you the beginning of this part. It's not different from what we did earlier, so we can just take the video back to see what we did earlier to complete this side of the neck. I have now finished both sides of our neck, and this is what your work should look like. So I went ahead to join the shoulder parts together, and I'm going to show you how to join it using this other side. So at this point we're going to be using our yarn needle, You need a yarn needle and your yarn pass through it. So for this side, you have to turn your work inside out, which I have done. So your work is supposed to be on the wrong side out now. Make sure the two sides of our armhole are placed equally to avoid any tardiness at the end. So if you have your chain four sides together like me, we're going to count three chains and insert our needle through the three chains. So once you insert your needle, you pull your yarn through it and then you tie it off just like I'm doing. If you have another way of joining your work together, you can go ahead and do it the way you know how. But this is how I always like to join my work. And I always join the back loop only, like I did with the band. I always like to join my work just through the back loop only. It always gives it a very neat finish. So yeah, go ahead and join your shoulder parts together and I'm going to meet you back once I'm done. So now that we're done with the body, we're going to start working on the sleeves of our sweater. And to start the sleeves, we're going to start by chaining um 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So once you have your 12 chains, we're going to start by working single crochet into every chain until the end. As usual, I'm going to work my single crochet into the back of my chain. So once I have my single crochet row one completed, I'm going to do that off screen and I'm going to come back on once I'm done. I have not finished my first row. So for row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and work single crochets into the back loop only. So for the sleeves, we're going to be making the same ribbon pattern that we did earlier for the body. And for this one, I'm going to be doing 31 rows, which is approximately 7.5 inches long. So once you have 31 inches or 7.5 inches, um, I'm going to meet you back and show you what to do next. I have my band completed. Now I'm going to join both ends together. This is what your work should look like. So join both ends together and I'll show you how to start our first row for this part of the sleeves. So I am done joining my band together. Now it's time to start the body of our sleeves. So just like it did for the body, we're going to chain 1 and put 2 single crochets in the same space. So we put 2 single crochets in every space around until we get to the end. 2 single crochets. Once you have that done, we're going to get into the next steps. I'll meet you back once I'm done. Now I have my single crochet row finished. I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch. So like we've been doing previously, we're going to start by chaining 4. Once you have your 4 chains, we're going to put another double crochet, skip a stitch and put a double crochet into the next stitch, just like we did before. So we keep doing that until we get to the end of row 2, and I'll put you back once I'm done. Now I have my row 2 finished, and I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch into the third chain of our chain 4. We're going to chain 4 again, turn our work, and this row is going to be an increase row. So we're going to put a double crochet into the very first stitch like this, chain 1. So I'm going to be putting some stitch markers to mark the points where I'm going to be having the increase. So like we've been doing earlier, I'm just going to go ahead and mark the middle points, both the back and the front, and I'm going to also mark the sides. So just follow the video the way I'm marking it. If you want to count your stitches, you can also count your stitches and divide it accordingly. So once I have this done, I'm just going to continue my row 3 and make an increase every time I get to a stitch marker. So I'm going to continue doing mine offline, and I'll meet you back once I'm done. For this row, we're not going to be doing any increase. I'm just going to slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 4, turn my work, and I'm going to put one double crochet in the same space, but that's going to be the only increase we are doing for this row 4. So just keep working double crochet as usual until you get to the end of the row. Once you get to the point where we have our increase, I'm going to put a double crochet into that space and put your stitch marker to mark the point where we're going to have our next increase for the next row. I do this so as not to get carried away or confused sometimes when I'm working. Now I'm done with row 4, chain 4, and I'm just going to quickly show you guys where I marked. So I marked every point where I had my previous increase. These are the points where we're going to make our next increase for the sleeves. So just continue making your increase on row 5, and I'll meet you back. Now I'm done, and I've made only 2 increase rows, and in total I have 8 inches in total, because our armhole is 8 inches length, so our sleeves also has to be the same thing. In total we have 16 inches on both sides of our armhole, so you have to do the same thing for the sleeves too. If you want your sleeve smaller, you can reduce, or if you want it bigger, you can increase. So yeah, from now on we're just going to be working double crochets without any increase until we have um 19 inches. Once we have 19 inches, which is 29 rows in total, we're going to stop our work. So just keep working until you have 19 inches, 29 rows. Now I'm done with my sleeves. I have 29 rows in total, and measuring it, you'd see we have um, 17 inches. Oh, my mistake. I said 19 inches earlier, but we only need 17 inches actually. 17 inches. So we're going to repeat that one more time because we need 2 sleeves. So Repeat what I just did now again to make your second sleeves. And now we're just going to go into um, the neck. We're going to be making the ribbon for the neck. To start that, I'm just going to go ahead and reattach my yarn. Also, don't forget to turn your work inside out before you start working on the neck. So I left my work wrong side out before. Now I'm bringing it back to the right side out. So don't forget to turn your work inside out before you start working on the neck. This is also what it looks like when you join your work the way I do. It gives it a very neat finish. This is why I like to join my work that way. So now we're going to reattach our yarn. You can reattach it to at any point in the neck. Doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and reattach my yarn. Once you have your yarn attached, we're going to be doing single crochet for the first row. So I'm going to be working two single crochets in the same space, two single crochets in the same space. So just follow the video accordingly. I like to weave in my ends too while I'm working, so I don't have to do it when I'm done. So we're going to work two single crochet into the double crochet space we have around the neck. So I just quickly want to show you guys how to work the front part of the neck where we have our double crochet chain one. So you work one single crochet into the double crochet space and one single crochet into the chain one space. So that's how you work the front part. One single crochet on top of the double crochet and one single crochet in the chain one space. So just keep repeating that until you get to the part where we have the double crochet space where you start working the two double crochet in the same space. Now I'm at the end of my first row. I'm just going to slip stitch now, and for this part we're going to be doing the ribbon along the neck part. So for the ribbon we're going to be chaining 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to work single crochet all the way until the end of my 5 chains that is left. So now I'm on the last chain. So for this part we're going to be slip stitching into the next 3 um 3 stitches. So slip stitch into the next 3 stitches. Now we're going to turn your work, and then single crochet into the very first double crochet. So we're going to be skipping all our slip stitches and go into the very first single crochet and make single crochets into the back loop, just like this. At the very last one, I like to work my single crochet into both stitches, not just the back loop, just to give it a straight and clean finish. So we're going to chain 1, turn our work, single crochet into the very first stitch, then single crochet into the back loop until you're on the 5th single crochet stitch. Like we did before, we're going to slip stitch into the next 3 stitches. So we're going to be repeating this until we get to the end of this part. So turn your work and single crochet into the very first single crochet stitch. So remember that we only have 5 single crochet stitches. So if it increases, you know that you're doing something wrong, and if it decreases, you know you're doing something wrong. So it has to be 5 single crochet. Now I'm done. I'm just going to join my neck, and this is what you should have now for our neck part. So I'm just going to join my work the way I always do. Join using just the back loop only. So once we have that, the neck of our body is basically finished. So yeah, we're now going to move to the sleeves once I have this done. So just join the neck like I've showed you guys throughout the video on how to join. Now this is what you should have. This is how neat and well done the neck should look, and it's very stretchy. Now I'm going to show you guys how to sew on the sleeves that we made. But first we're going to turn our work inside out, meaning that we're going to have the wrong side out before we start joining our sleeves. So once you've turned your work inside out, we're going to take our sleeves just the way it is. We have our sleeves on the right side, so we're going to put it into our sleeves like this. Please just follow the way I am doing it on screen. So once you have that, we're going to put where we have cut off our yarn on the sleeves and attach it to the edge of our sleeves, just like I'm doing. We're going to be needing your stitch marker for this part. So you attach your sleeves with the stitch marker. Just put it in place before you start sewing. You can also decide to count your stitches just to have everything in place. But I usually just do it like this because yeah, it's still the same. So once you have that done, you're going to take your yarn needle and then start sewing the sleeves to the armhole. So you just go ahead and sew it the way you know how. Some people like to do single crochet to join, but I always like to use my yarn needle whenever I'm joining any part of my project. So just go ahead and join your sleeves all the way around until we get to the end. Once you're done attaching the sleeves, you're going to repeat this for the other side of your sleeves also. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. But at this point, we're done with our work, and yeah, that's all we're doing for this project.